In the unforgiving centuries of medieval Europe, when justice was harsh and mercy was rare, one figure stood quietly at the center of fear, law, and death. Not a king, not a warrior, but the executioner. We step into a shadowed world, a world of wooden scaffolds, silent crowds, and measured footsteps. A world where a single man held the power to end a life with one deliberate motion. His name was Franz Schmidt, and for nearly half a century he served as the official executioner of Nuremberg. This is a story of duty, of isolation, and of a profession history remembers, but rarely understands. So settle in, slow your breathing, and allow the echoes of medieval Europe to carry you gently into the past. The executioner's presence. During the brutal days of the 15th and 16th centuries, the executioner was a figure both feared and unavoidable. He embodied terror, yet also represented justice as it was understood at the time. Hidden beneath dark clothing and heavy hoods, executioners concealed their faces from the crowd, not out of shame, but to protect themselves from hatred and revenge. With a single swing of an axe, or the tightening of a noose, the cries of the condemned could be silenced forever. It was a profession that brought isolation. Neighbors avoided them. Communities shunned their families. And yet, there was also fascination. In an era when punishments like breaking on the wheel, drawing and quartering, and burning at the stake were disturbingly common, the executioner's skill mattered. A steady hand could mean a swift death. A mistake could mean prolonged suffering. Franz Schmidt understood this better than most. Franz Schmidt of Nuremberg. Franz Schmidt served as Nuremberg's executioner from 1578 to 1617. Over the course of his career, he recorded performing 361 executions, along with countless other punishments. Unlike many executioners, Schmidt kept detailed journals, quiet records of lives ended, sentences carried out, and rituals observed. Through these writings, we are offered a rare window into the mind of a man who lived daily with death. But who was Franz Schmidt before he became known as a man of the axe? In the Middle Ages, executioners were rarely self-made. The role was often inherited. Families passed down the profession, generation after generation, binding sons to a destiny few desired. One of the most famous examples was France's Sanson family, who served as royal executioners. For more than 2 centuries, training began early, often in adolescence. Apprentices assisted with executions, learned to maintain swords and axes, and memorized the rituals surrounding death. Franz Schmidt was born in 1555, in what is now modern Germany. He was the son of a woodsman who had been convicted of poaching. At just 18 years old, Schmidt was apprenticed to his stepfather, an executioner. Slowly, methodically, he learned the trade, and in time, he became Nuremberg's official executioner, a position he would hold for 45 years. Rituals, faith, and psychological burden. Execution was never a simple act. The sentence had to be read aloud, the condemned escorted properly, the body disposed of respectfully, according to local custom. But perhaps the greatest challenge was psychological. Many executioners turned to religion, believing they served as instruments of divine justice. They were not killers, they told themselves, but servants of the law. As philosopher Voltaire once observed, it is forbidden to kill. Therefore, all murderers are punished, unless they kill in large numbers, and to the sound of trumpets. When skill failed, precision mattered. History reminds us what happened when it did not. In 1649, King Charles I of England was sentenced to death by beheading. The executioner, Richard Brandon, was overwhelmed by fear and drank heavily beforehand. His first strike failed. A second blow was required. The crowd watched in horror. This moment reinforced a harsh truth. An executioner's skill could mean the difference between dignity and agony. Occasionally, executioners became witnesses to history itself. During the French Revolution, Chief Executioner Charles Henri Sanson carried out the execution of King Louis XVI. When it was done, he reportedly said simply, "The king is no more." With those words, the era ended, and a new world began. Medieval executions were public events. They were meant to warn, to intimidate, and sometimes, disturbingly, to entertain. Hanging was common for peasants. A hemp rope, a wooden gallows, a sudden drop. Beheading was reserved for nobility. A sharp sword, the single merciful strike. Burning at the stake was used for heresy and witchcraft. In 1431, Joan of Arc met this fate, later remembered as a martyr, and drawing and quartering, reserved for high treason, was among the most brutal punishments imaginable. William Wallace of Scotland suffered this fate in 1305. In the haunting words of the 16th century poet François Villon, "Where are the snows of yesterday?" we are reminded that even the most brutal chapters of human history eventually fade into the past. Though the savage executions of the medieval world are long gone, the instruments of punishment once wielded by executioners still linger powerfully in our collective imagination. By examining the grim tools and methods used in these spectacles of justice, we gain deeper insight into the harsh realities of medieval law and the terrifying ordeals that once governed society. Among the most horrific devices employed during this era was the breaking wheel, also known as the Catherine wheel. This brutal method of execution involved binding the condemned to a large wooden wheel, their arms and legs stretched outward and fastened securely to its spokes. The executioner would then strike the victim's limbs with an iron bar or heavy hammer, deliberately shattering the bones and rendering escape impossible. Once the body was broken, the wheel would be raised atop a pole, leaving the battered victim exposed to wind, weather, and scavenging animals until death finally came. Another, though far rarer, method of execution was the appalling punishment of boiling alive. In the year 1531, an Englishman named Richard Roos was convicted of attempting to poison John Fisher, the Bishop of Rochester. As punishment, Roos was sentenced to be boiled to death in a large cauldron filled with water or oil. The executioner's role was to supervise the heating of the vessel and ensure that the condemned met their end through this excruciating process. These methods of execution, cruel and merciless by modern standards, served a deliberate purpose in medieval society. To the ruling elite, such punishments were tools of authority. By subjecting criminals to horrifying public deaths, leaders aimed to reinforce their power, discourage potential offenders, and impose a fragile sense of order in an age often dominated by violence and instability. Shrouded in darkness and secrecy, medieval executioners occupied a shadowy place in history. They were figures of terror and dread, cloaked not only in literal darkness but also in social isolation. Their distinctive clothing and concealed faces served a crucial purpose, masking their identities from the public. By exploring the reasons behind this anonymity and the garments they wore, we uncover a hidden dimension of their existence, one steeped in secrecy and stigma. To understand why executioners concealed their identities, one must first consider the society in which they lived. Executioners were frequently ostracized and labeled as social outcasts. Their profession was regarded as dishonorable, and they were often treated as untouchables. This stigma extended to their families, making it difficult for them or their relatives to form relationships or integrate into their communities. Given this deep-rooted social rejection, it is hardly surprising that executioners sought anonymity while performing their duties. By hiding their faces, they hoped to avoid retaliation from the friends or families of the condemned and to lessen the social burden they carried in daily life. Although executioner attire varied across regions and historical periods, certain elements were common. One of the most recognizable features was the hood or mask, typically crafted from black cloth or leather. These coverings concealed the face entirely, often leaving only the eyes visible. Some masks were designed with grotesque or fearsome features, intended both to intimidate the condemned and further obscure the executioner's identity. In addition to masks, executioners usually wore dark, plain clothing that allowed them to blend into the shadows. Long coats or cloaks, gloves, and sturdy boots were standard, protecting them from the physical horrors of their work while keeping their identity hidden from the crowd. Despite this desire for anonymity, some executioners became infamous figures. One such man was Charles-Henri Sanson, the chief executioner of France during the French Revolution. Though his profession was widely known, Sanson was viewed by some as a man of honor and integrity. His role in the execution of King Louis XVI and other prominent figures firmly established his place in history. Another intriguing story involves Franz Schmidt, a 16th-century German executioner from Nuremberg. While serving in his official capacity, Schmidt was required to wear the traditional hood and cloak. Upon his retirement, however, he reportedly burned his executioner's attire in public, a symbolic act severing his ties with his grim profession and attempting to cast off its lasting stigma. Outcasts by the blade. The isolated world of the medieval executioner. The medieval executioner, enveloped in mystery and fear, was charged with carrying out society's most severe punishments. Though essential to maintaining order, they bore an immense social burden that followed them far beyond the scaffold. Executioners were commonly viewed as shameful figures, forced into a role few willingly chose. Often, the position was inherited, passed down through generations, trapping entire families in a cycle of social exclusion. In other cases, individuals were compelled into the profession as punishment or as a means of settling debts, ensuring that their lives would forever be marked by association with death. Within their communities, executioners were avoided and despised. Considered cursed or dangerous, their presence alone was believed to bring bad luck. This rejection affected every aspect of their lives, from where they lived to whom they could interact with socially. Many were forced to reside on the outskirts of towns, often near cemeteries or places associated with decay. Even when entering populated areas, they were sometimes required to announce themselves so others could avoid contact. Despite this isolation, executioners were not entirely destitute. In some regions, authorities provided them with housing, modest pay, and limited legal protections. Yet these benefits did little to counterbalance the widespread contempt they faced. Their personal lives were equally difficult. Many struggled to find partners willing to associate with them. When marriages occurred, they were often arranged within executioner families, further reinforcing their social separation. Still, some executioners found meaning in their work. Franz Schmidt, who served Nuremberg for 45 years, kept a detailed journal documenting his executions. His writings reveal a strong sense of duty and a desire for recognition based on skill and professionalism rather than fear. Another notable figure was Jack Ketch, England's infamous executioner in the late 17th century. Known for his brutality and incompetence, Ketch nonetheless accumulated wealth through bribes and illicit dealings, highlighting the strange contradiction between public revulsion and societal dependence on executioners to enforce order. Blood money. The grim rewards of the executioner. In the turbulent medieval world, executioners acted as enforcers of law amid chaos and violence. Though burdened by stigma, they were compensated in various ways. Most received a fixed salary from local authorities, offering some financial stability, though typically less than other skilled trades. Beyond this base pay, executioners earned additional fees for specific tasks, with more complex or brutal executions commanding higher compensation. A simple hanging paid less than elaborate punishments such as burning at the stake or drawing and quartering. Some executioners were also granted legal immunity for actions performed in the line of duty, a critical safeguard given the violent nature of their work. One particularly macabre form of compensation allowed executioners to claim the personal belongings of the condemned, which could be quite valuable if the victim was wealthy. In some cases, they also received a portion of fines imposed on criminals or their families. Despite these benefits, financial instability was common. Many executioners struggled to survive, leading some to seek extra income through questionable means, accepting bribes for quicker deaths or selling body parts to medical practitioners and collectors. While executioners earned a living through their work, the emotional cost was profound. Constant exposure to suffering, death, and human agony left deep psychological scars. Many experienced guilt, remorse, nightmares, and symptoms resembling what we now call post-traumatic stress disorder. To cope, some framed their role as a necessary service or divine duty, believing they were instruments of higher justice. Others focused on technical mastery, taking pride in precision and efficiency to emotionally distance themselves from the violence. Yet for many, these strategies were not enough. Alcoholism, depression, and mental illness were common as executioners sought escape from the memories that haunted them. Charles-Henri Sanson provides a poignant example. In his memoirs, he described deep regret following the execution of King Louis XVI, confessing that the memory tormented him and conflicted with his conscience. His account reveals the profound emotional burden hidden beneath the executioner's hood. Between heaven and hell, rituals of the medieval executioner. Executioners operated within a world steeped in ritual. Before an execution, they performed careful preparations, sharpening blades, inspecting ropes, and ensuring machinery functioned properly to avoid mistakes and ensure swift death. Spiritual rituals were equally important. Many prayed or sought divine forgiveness, invoking patron saints for guidance and protection. These practices reinforced the belief that their work served divine justice. During executions, customs varied widely. Some condemned were granted final meals or confession, while others were publicly humiliated as a warning to onlookers. The executioner stood at the center of these rituals, embodying both justice and society's collective vengeance. Afterward, their duties continued. Executioners often disposed of bodies through burial, cremation, or display. In some cases, remains were sold or distributed for medical study or collected for their macabre value. The Dark Emperors, notorious executioners through history. Throughout history, certain executioners became infamous. Franz Schmidt of Germany, active in the late 16th and early 17th centuries, executed more than 350 people and meticulously recorded each case. Despite his grim profession, he was known for piety and devotion to family. In England, Jack Ketch became synonymous with brutality after botching the execution of the Duke of Monmouth in 1685, requiring multiple blows, and possibly a knife, to sever the head. His name remains a symbol of executioner incompetence. Across the Atlantic, Tom Horn emerged as a controversial figure in the American West. Serving as both lawman and executioner, his methods were widely debated. His involvement in the hanging of a young man named Willie Nickel ultimately led to Horn's own execution in 1903. Returning to France, Anatole Dibler presided over the guillotine in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Known for efficiency and professionalism, he oversaw more than 400 executions, including those of infamous criminals. Despite his role, Dibler remained a private man, striving for normalcy beyond his grim duties. In the chaotic landscape of the Middle Ages, public executions were a dark and ever-present element of daily life, casting an ominous presence over nobles and commoners alike. To truly grasp the layered emotions, motivations, and psychological forces that tied these brutal events so deeply to the medieval public, we must explore the many roles executions played within that society. Long before the age of television or digital media, executions served as a disturbing form of mass entertainment. Vast crowds gathered, drawn by the promise of spectacle and sensation. Details of the condemned individual's fate were often publicized well in advance, encouraging people to arrive early in order to secure the best viewing positions. Vendors sold food and drink, and the atmosphere often took on the feel of a festival. Amid this carnival-like setting, spectators jeered, mocked, and taunted the condemned, taking grim pleasure in their humiliation and pain. In the chaotic landscape of the Middle Ages, public executions were a dark and ever-present element of daily life, casting an ominous presence over nobles and commoners alike. To truly grasp the layered emotions, motivations, and psychological forces that tied these brutal events so deeply to the medieval public, we must explore the many roles executions played within that society. Long before the age of television or digital media, executions served as a disturbing form of mass entertainment. Vast crowds gathered, drawn by the promise of spectacle and sensation. Details of the condemned individual's fate were often publicized well in advance, encouraging people to arrive early in order to secure the best viewing positions. Vendors sold food and drink, and the atmosphere often took on the feel of a festival. Amid this carnival-like setting, spectators jeered, mocked, and taunted the condemned, taking grim pleasure in their humiliation and pain. In this way, public executions functioned as an emotional outlet for the populace, a form of collective release that allowed people to project their anxieties, anger, and frustrations onto a powerless scapegoat. Beyond their role as entertainment, executions were also a crucial deterrent in a world where legal authority was fragile and inconsistently enforced. Medieval rulers depended heavily on public punishment to uphold order and instill fear. The horrifying fate awaiting those who violated societal norms was meant to serve as a powerful warning, a graphic reminder of the consequences of straying beyond the strict boundaries of the law. Thus, executions became an essential instrument in the medieval system of justice, a constant reminder of the punishment that awaited anyone who dared challenge the established order or defy authority. At their core, these events were also a dramatic assertion of power. By administering punishment in such a visible and brutal manner, ruling elites reinforced their dominance and emphasized their control over life and death itself. The attendance of high-ranking officials further reinforced this message, lending official legitimacy to the proceedings and leaving no doubt about who truly held power. In this sense, public executions functioned as a form of political performance, a carefully staged display through which rulers demonstrated their ability to suppress chaos and maintain control in an unpredictable medieval world. From darkness to reform, the changing role of the executioner. The position of the executioner has evolved dramatically over time, shaped by shifting public attitudes, technological developments, and changing ideas about justice and punishment. This transformation, from the shadows of the medieval era to the more regulated modern age, mirrors the broader evolution of human society and offers insight into humanity's changing moral compass. During the Middle Ages, the executioner was a figure of terror, embodying society's most primal desires for vengeance and retribution. Often anonymous and wielding the tools of a grim profession, executioners held the ultimate authority over life and death, carrying out sentences imposed by those in power. As societal values began to shift, however, perceptions of the executioner also changed. The Enlightenment ushered in new philosophies that questioned the morality of capital punishment and reconsidered the executioner's place within society. This shift was further accelerated by technological innovation, most notably the invention of the guillotine. Developed in the late 18th century by Dr. Joseph Ignace Guillotin, the device was designed to make executions quicker, more humane, and uniform across social classes. Regardless of status, all condemned individuals would face the same swift and supposedly painless end. The introduction of such machinery marked a turning point, as traditional executioner skills were gradually replaced by mechanized processes. Human precision gave way to automated efficiency. Throughout the 19th century, debates over the ethics of capital punishment intensified. Philosophers, authors, and reformers fueled public discourse, questioning whether state-sanctioned killing could ever be morally justified. In the United States, the abolitionist movement gained strength, prompting renewed scrutiny of both executioners and the death penalty itself. These discussions ultimately led, during the 20th century, to the gradual elimination of many forms of capital punishment worldwide, as societies sought more humane and effective approaches to justice and rehabilitation. In the modern era, the executioner's role has largely faded into obscurity. Many nations have abandoned the death penalty entirely. Where executions still occur, they are typically carried out by trained personnel in sterile, controlled environments. The hooded figure with axe or noose has been replaced by an unseen technician administering lethal injections or operating electrical devices. As philosopher George Santayana famously warned, those who fail to remember history are doomed to repeat it. By examining the lives of those who once carried out executions, we ensure their stories are not lost, and that the lessons they offer continue to inform our understanding of justice and humanity. Thank you for joining us on this haunting journey into the life of a medieval executioner. If you found this exploration into the shadows of history compelling, Please remember to like, share, and subscribe for more untold stories from the past. Until next time, stay curious and keep uncovering the hidden corners of our shared history.